Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of the speakers of the true fidelity, we have the culmination of a quite long journey sitting in front of us today. Well over a year has passed. The migration has been long. The trek into the desert, across the seas, back across seas, through the Pharisees, I don't know, all the seas, all of them. It's been quite a thing. Trust me when I say this. As you know, or as you may know, as you may not know. Who knows if you know? I don't know if you know. I'm not going to tell you what to know. I have been in the process of building what you would refer to as an audio chain for a very specific pair of headphones. Mind you, these are the greatest headphones ever made. So, notice I didn't say in my opinion. Screw that. All that. I say in your opinion. No. My opinion is better than yours. That's empirically why I'm here and you're not. In this case, I'm right and you're not. I don't care what you say. And no, don't tell me about Abyss or any of this. No, you can tell me that. But I've heard both and you haven't. So clearly, because if you had heard both, you'd agree with me and not with whatever dumb stuff you said. So when I say this, there's no Dianas, no 1266s, no this as far as are close, but no, there's still two airy fairy. No. The Modhouse Tungsten headphones. Greatest headphone in the world. I've declared it. These. And this is the only pair with yin yangs on them. But soon there will be two. And then three. And then that will be it, because I'm not getting more than three, because I have three people in my household and they all get a pair of tungstens, and then I'm done with that, because he needs to make new headphones for me to buy more, because I only have so many heads in my house, and if each one has one, then one works to work, and then one gets to play the video games, and you can carry your headphones from room to room, because they are relatively light. So, if they break them, then they got to buy their own again. I'm not buying anybody else. You get one pair. That's all you get. It's just rations. It's like when you go in the army, they give you a gun. If you get it blown up, you better pick up somebody dead guy's gun, because you don't get another one. It's like video game rules after that. You just get the starter pistol, and that's all you got. So, not that kind of starter pistol. I mean, the one you get in the beginning. You know what I'm saying. So, I digress, as I often do. To have the greatest headphones in the world, you need to have a chain that's at least upgradable to being worthy for it. Now, I'm not going to say that everything in my chain costs $5,000. I wish it did, but it doesn't. However, even though it may not, you know by now, if you've been around here, that I'm the bang for buck king. I'm not trying to pay all that money for an inferior DAC when I can find the one with the best chip in the world and then use that. And then I can, for a three-figure profit, or outlay, for a three-figure outlay, not profit, I don't know why I said that, I can get a five-figure return on investment. But I'm an insane person and autistic, and I drill into this stuff for a long, long time. That's why you come here, because I'm an idiot and you don't have the time for that. You're probably doing life stuff. You got, birthday parties and, social events to go to, and badminton or whatever it is you do. They say, I don't really do badminton. I just nerd. That's all I do. Just nerd. Just nerd and listen. That's it. And anime and nerd and martial arts films and nerd and do martial arts and nerd and then play music and nerd. And sometimes I eat, but that's like twice a day. And the wife just kind of, and you got to evacuate. You got to shower, I guess, eventually. My wife pushes me into the shower. But, in between those things, I'm nerding. That's what it is. So, and So, why this thing in front of me is in front of me. This is the control center, the brain, the nexus, if you will, of my audio chain that will deliver the beauteous, glorious, elated sounds to the greatest headphones in the world. What is this? I'm getting to it. This is something called the SPL Phonitor 2. Why 2, do you ask? Because the one was, they tried and then they had a concept and they've ironed it out with the 2. Why not the 3? Because the 3 exists. Because the 3 has a DAC in it, and I didn't want that DAC. I wanted to be able to interchange my DACs and trade them up over time, because DACs will get better. I can make my own DAC. For those you do not know, a DAC is a digital to audio, to analog, and it's all audio. It is a digital to analog converter. Easy for me to say. So what you're doing is you're taking the signal from the computer, you're taking it from its bits and bobs and zeros and ones, and you're turning it into actual like the old, you remember, and that comes out of here, and the air wiggles happen for the right lengths of time, and then I hear, I don't know the fucking words to that thing. I'm not Italian, so and I don't do opera that much. A little bit, and every once in a while on a Thursday, but you know, not. That's not my regular jam. You know, I'm like into the funk and you know R&B, that kind of stuff. You know, I know the Temptations and all that, but you know that Pagliacci stuff is, you know, it's just I know the song, I can play it, but I can't sing it. I just don't remember the words. Okay, so not my job. I'm in the orchestra pit in the percussion section with the triangle going ding, and then I go eat pizza for like 20 minutes, and I come back and ding ding, and then that's it. That's my whole job, and I get paid the same as the other dudes. It's crazy, right? So you can violin all day. They'd be like, sweating? No, not me. I'm just like ding. All right, I'm gonna go play video games for 20 minutes. You don't need me again, right? Okay. And then I dook, dook, dook. Okay, and I'm gonna go sit down and read a book. That's how it works. I'm telling you. That's the whole college. That's what I did. So, I mean, I also did jazz gigs and stuff too. But you know, I had friends, I guess. Well, I thought they were my friends. They probably just like that weird dude with the drums, like, you know, screw that guy. But I'm big, so nobody tells me. You know, they don't tell me they don't like me. So, Phonitor 2. This time it's personal. I am going to find eventually Mr. Cuddy, because I had him. Oh, there you. Oh, see, you hear him making an appearance. I had him in my lap. I was warming him up. I don't like when he's cold. He gets cranky. And you know, if your name is Mr. Cuddy and you get cranky, you see where I'm going with this? Okay, so the backstory to this is that this has been from the river to the sea, don't, and back again, but too soon. And it has been, let's just say, sampled by others, including the designer, originator, prognosticator, the originator and the prognosticator, and the inventor of the greatest headphones in the world, the Modhouse Tungstens. Why? Because I wanted to know what the best thing and the best settings would be. Now, mind you, ooh, sometimes you just gotta black dynamite some shit. It's just is what it is. Should have used that one, but you know. So, what have we here? Ooh, this boy's heavy. Okay, this boy chunk. He chunky. This boy ain't gonna die. You know what I'm saying? The boy eating way too many hamburgers right now. He don't like. He need he need to do some up downs or some squats or some push ups or some pull ups or something. And that boy mama needs to stop feeding him 8 sandwiches a day, because good Lord, he thick. Oh my gosh. So many ounces. Look at the build quality on it. This thing is a tank. All metal construction, balanced feet with the, like, there's tires under this. Why are there tires? Did we need tires? Apparently we needed tires. Z Germans needed to put tires on this thing. So this thing has, I think, circumnavigated the globe. And what else is in here? Just this, really. And, ooh, alternate, yeah. Is this an English plug? What the heck am I going to do with an English plug? I don't have one plug that works. Oh, no, this one's fine. But I got this big old chunky. It looks like I'm going to put a dryer in. Look at this dryer plug they gave me. Why do I have a dryer plug? Does someone need this? I'm plugging in the dryer. That is just ridiculous. That is, I mean, go away, go, die. There's nothing else in the box except some holes. So, oh, holy box, I've launched you onto the floor. It's what I do. I fling shit on my channel. Clean up all this debris, as the British, the debris. You have to clean up your debris. The first time I heard a British person say debris, I thought it was some girl's name, like Debbie. Debris. If they were calling me a dog or something. Okay, so apparently in Deutschland, even the cords come with manuals and safety devices, and I don't understand why. And okay, the Eichen, I don't know what that says. Let's flip that over. Divortion, yeah, they're really serious about this. There's like a whole bunch of instructions for a cable. And I'm sure it's just like, okay, there's something in instrucciones de seguridad. Okay, so there are other languages. Oh, safety instruction. I found one in English. Look at that. Do not plug in a row. Do not plug in a cow. Do not plug in now. Do not plug in now. No, it's not Dr. Seuss. I'm just kidding. Do not plug in a row. Do not cover the cable. Voltage free only with pulled plug. Is it like pulled pork? Use the product only in dry interior rooms. That I would, yes, I will try to do that, yes. Secure packaging and small parts against accidental use. Both the packaging and the small parts? Like, how are they grouping this to get... I'm thinking that ChatGPT did not translate this well, but hey, listen, I RTF'd him. It didn't make sense, but I did it. I did the thing. Okay, so then there's a... And fling. Okay, so we have Uncompromised. Yay. Now that I'm thinking about Uncompromised, let me make sure that this thing is on the right voltage, because my dirty American friends have been putting their dirty American fingers on it. These Pennsylvania people, how dare they? These Pennsylvanians. Great, I can't read this at all because it is not written. It's like etched into black with more black. So very nice with this. Good job there, guys. So investigating the fuse, what you're going to have here is you see two sides of it, and one of them says American, and one says European, or everywhere else except for Japan. So one says Marco Japan, the other one says everywhere else. So you want to make sure that the everywhere else is protruding through this little window, which it was not, because, again, my American friends and their filthy American fingers, you know, with their cheesy fries and, you know, seed oils. That's how it happens, you know, seed oil people. So what I'm going to do is replace this so that I can see the 240, 230, what does that even say? I'm blind. I think it's 230. So we're going to see the 230 through the aperture. I played Portal. I know how to say that. And let's see if we have succeeded here. Can't tell yet because I didn't shove it all the way in because I was trying to hedge my bets. Now, I feel the deep click. And I feel a different deep click. And what do we have here in the back? Through the hole, the tiny hole. Do we have the right thing, huh? Look at that, huh? Okay. Gets thumbs up on that. So, now that we're sure we're not going to blow up the house and melt my studio equipment, which is, it's also front heavy. It's very this way. It's like those people who walk with their head down and they just follow with their legs and butt, you know what I mean? You see their head come around the corner and then they come around the corner after it. You know, this is one of those people. Not like a Russian, they come around with their belly, you know. You see belly first and they're very proud, you know. So, you know, you move around the world, you notice these things, you see. You know, Serbs are very much like the latter than the former. You don't see a lot of kyphosis, but it's coming here because of the phones. It's terrible. Okay, so as again, I digress because that's what I do. We're going to, where should we start this? I mean, here's the sides. The sides are very nice. The top's very nice. We've already shown you the bottom to some extent. And within the bottom, we have the magic of dip switches. Dip switches are important, people. They're very important. And we're going to come back to this later because the dip switches are what make this thing magical. At least part of the complexity is here. So let's get to it. Now, one of the best features that I love about this thing is that if you're in the studio, often you have things that are in installations. Now, the installation piece here is that if I'm in the studio and it's plugged in and I don't want to move it, I can reach around here and look at that. I said reach around, drink. Look at that. I can look and I can see the words in both directions. I see output face to me. I don't have to be able to read upside down, which I have developed the skill over the last 30 years of doing this. But output that way, output this way, depending on which way you're facing. I'm telling you, the Germans, they're very... You know, they're very, whatever this is. And then we have your RCA's in, your inputs are RCA, you have 2 sets of XLRs and 1 set of XLR outputs. The XLR outputs can carry the signal, they can carry pre-amplified and post-amplified signals, hence the dip switches. So the dip switches will both give you the difference in your gain levels, I believe, or is the gain on the front? We're about to find that out. But they're definitely going to give you the, and I will read it, the whole thing from the manual because RTFM, and it's just there. Let's do that now, actually. Why not? You're going to get output level adjustment. The dip switches on the bottom of the unit give you the possibility to increase the output level in multiple steps. This is something that ought to be considered basically in 2 cases, when the input level is very low and when using high impedance and especially power hungry headphones. Tungsten, that's what I'm saying. And here's the thing, all of the top level headphones are very power hungry. They're very, very just, you need a tungsten, a thorium power plant to drive the tungsten. It's great. But the resolution, the detail, the imaging that you get from that is well compensated for. By default, the normal setting is active with all switches pointing down towards the numbers 1 through 6. The output level can be increased for all outputs in 2 steps, 12 dB, 22 dB, and 24 dB. So plus 24 dB is quite a bit of a jump from 0 to 12 is, there's no 6, but okay, I guess you can do your little math, but whatever. So additionally, the RCA input offers the possibility to bring the level from consumer level, minus 10 dBV for CD players, as an example, to professional level, 0 dBu. Important. It's in big letters, so it must be important. If the level has been increased by minus 12 dBu, plus 12 dBu, plus 22 dB, or plus 24 dB, this increment and the conversion of the RCA input to professional level will be summed. So you're going to have to adjust it and do the math in your head. If you used depending on which plug you used, and it matters. So they show in how to flick a switch, which I've mastered this somehow, and then and maybe we'll be able to flash this on the screen so even if you can't read it, you can see what the chart looks like. So you can go, oh, I can identify this section of the manual, and then I can go to this and flip my switches. Should you choose to embark in one of these things, and if you don't, you can just look at it and go, oh, that's a JPG, and I've seen one of those before. It has little black and white squares on it. Cool, Jim. That's nice. Example for some levels, plus 12 decibels increase for all inputs, plus RCA input level conversion to professional level equals minus 10 dB to 0 dBu. Switch 1 and switch 3 set to on. This summing works with switches 2 and 3. This summing also works with switches 2 and 3. Easy for me to say. Geez, Jim. The Phonitor 2 has an insert loop. The insert loop mode for the line input is a peculiarity of the font. I was reading it. It's a peculiarity. They said it, not me. So I'm not. Don't come for me. No doxing. Okay. Of the Phonitor 2. Switch 4 allows you to route the input signal directly to the line output without it being processed by the level or any other settings of the Phonitor 2 except for phase inversion. This mode is particularly interesting when you do not want to use the Phonitor 2 as a preamp or as a monitor controller, and the source signal ought to pass through unaltered. So you can basically push a very clean signal right through and use this as just a simple preamp with voltage stage. There's a lot of words for that. Switch 5 activates the Phonitor matrix for the XLR outputs of the Phonitor 2 as well. So the matrix feature, which we haven't gotten yet to, is the main bread and butter of why you would buy this thing. The matrix feature typically only comes out of the single-ended headphone jack that comes out of the front of this. They do not have a 4-pin or a 4.4 or a 2.5. So having the ability to push through the back of the outputs from the XLR ports will allow you to use a cable such as this, which goes from dual 3-pin XLR to single 4-pin XLR through a studio cable, and now you can take the power, the 3.7 volts, through the output hole That's another beautiful reason for the dip switches. And hear your sound through your headphones here, as opposed to just using a single-ended jack. So you're going to double your bandwidth, your dynamics is going to jump up, all of those things, and you're going to hear a lot more of the beauteous sounds of, I don't know, Vivaldi, whatever you listen to, who cares? Your whatever garbage band your 8-bit Nintendo music that you decided you needed a studio thing to listen to. Icky Thump, whatever, these horrible recordings. It's a good song. It's a bad recording. It's really low res. Okay, so it's a fun song. It's a good song. I like it. I think it's a good song. Whatever. It's your opinion. Okay, like it or not. I'm not the boss of your ears. Okay, so I'm the boss of your ears. I'm the boss. Hank Hill reference, the King of the Hill reference, so you get it. The matrix activation for the XLRs. Okay, I read that because and then so that was it. That was interesting. Okay, we're going to definitely have the power, the pass through, insert loop. Everything's going to come out of the back of the Phonitor, unless you're using one of these old school things right here, as one of our friends in the audio community calls it, the big dingus. And if you have the big dingus, you have these, nobody's ever seen a pair of these before, right? Another German, because I had to bring out at least one German thing with the other German thing. The 6XXs, mass drop 6XXs, because I still haven't received my pads for my old school 600s that still have the old finish. It looks like a granite countertop. I love those things. They are ugly as hell. Okay, so you put you put the dingus in the other dingus, and then you put the other dingus in the hole. That's how it happens. It's like it's like a self-improvement device for the dingus. I've said nothing. And then you have giant dingularity. We know how this works. It's just an insertion here. So I believe that is all there is in the back. Well, I mean, we didn't mention that there's a power switch and a hole where you plug things in, but if you really aren't aware of that, and I know Zeos Pantera will tell you no power switches on the back, but this is a studio thing, so they ain't gonna change it. It's not gonna happen. There should at least be like a standby. I'm with him though. There should at least be like a standby switch on the front. But no. I gotta reach behind this thing, and I've racked up. Like, if you've ever been in a studio, everything's like super tight. So what you end up having to do is plug everything in a bunch of Furmans and then turn the Furman on, and then everything lights up. And I didn't want 90% of this crap right now. I just wanted this thing because I want to hear something, and I just want to listen to some dude's mixtape or whatever. But no, now I got to waste a block's worth of power just to hear somebody's bad rap. Yo, I'm MC Nice because I'm nice with it. Don't make me go and get a slice with it. Or whatever, whatever these guys say. I have no idea. I actually know how to rap, so I ain't worry about that. It's really hard to do something bad when you kind of can do it okay. I don't know, it's weird. It's like try to ride a bike and fall off. You just don't want to. It's just your body. It's like, it's awkward. Okay, so we have inputs, outputs, hopefully the right fuses in the right direction. The fuses are in the right directions. Power button, plug. Let's plug this bitch in and try to get to the front. So, through the magic of pause technology, we call it pause, because the wife's French. She doesn't, I just do, because I like making fun of her native language. Because I can't speak it. With all the and they mumble. I don't know what the fuck they talking about. So, RCAs, XLRs. That's how it works, son. So, the outputs, these here. I'm not going to listen to anything but headphones today, so what I'm going to do. Oh, and by the way, if you need a signal transfer, these cables are amazing. In fact, according to them, they're the best cables in the world. Literally, world's best cable. It says it right there. I didn't even plan that. It just kind of happened. But I did order them, so I guess I kind of planned it because I got them months ago. But okay, whatever. So you can go from the XLR signal, see the dinguses? 3 dingus to the 1 dingus. So you can jump and feed, so be very careful, you jump around, but you can feed the XLR signal into an RCA plug and vice versa, depending on how you're, you might have to get different dinguses here, but these all look the same. So be very careful, because some things can accept that and some things cannot. This can, and let's go into what they refer to as the 120 volt rail technology. Now, 120 volts is a lot. Let's be very clear. The reason it's 120 volt technology is because it's not 240 volt technology. Yes, Jim, but what does that mean, dummy? Okay, 240 volts means that you would have 120 up and down. 120 means you have 160 up and down for the 120 total. Now, That level of voltage is designed to make you hear the entire orchestra. Now, let's be very, very clear. If you wanted to cover the entire orchestra, you'd need 135. But, however, you're getting a couple of volts from your jump in. So if you're coming in with 4 volts, you see how it's starting to add up already? And then you're assuming that there's some sort of, this is a dynamic range problem, so you're not starting at 0. But if you want to be stupidly technical, but the problem is the investment it would take to double that again and give you 240 volt technology, which is, I think, the only way you could really do it, at least at this point, without inserting a whole bunch of other stuff. You just have to fold it, and all that other stuff would do signal noise and it would be a cascade of nightmares, and this machine would be this freaking big and cost $80,000. Nobody wants that. So they went, 120 is enough. It's nobody's gonna, The next thing on the market has 40 or something like that. So let's be very clear. This is an enormous jump. It's 3 times what you're normally seeing. Most mixing boards have 18. The good ones have 24. That's all you're getting. That's it. And that's considered professional is 18 or 20, and 24 is considered, I don't know. I mean, at least the live standard is 18. Studio standard is 24, and that's for the big studios. Like you want to go to, Abbey Road or, something, some big, huge place. That's what you're going to get is a 24. That's it. So 120 is a ton. And what we're talking about is the difference between the person in the orchestra turning his page, like the most tiny sound you can imagine, and then the entire 110, 120 piece just going at it, full Pirates of the Caribbean, whatever big piece that you can think of, and everybody's like, no. That's what we're talking about. This covers that entire dynamic range without its heart rate going up 1 BPM. It just does that. There's no strain, it's effortless, and that's from having that amount of volts on tap all the time. The second thing about this tech is that, and I'm going to do this from now on, so that we can see, A, I can see, and then B, we can see the front of the unit. And at this point, I should probably turn the unit on. Please don't blow up, please don't blow up, please don't blow up. Hasn't blown up yet. And still yet. And still, all right. It's a good sign so far. So, with many things that I purchase, the Phonitor has what we call an inverted impedance saddle. So, the typical way to do things is that as you go up in ohms, which is impedance, resistance to the electrical signal, you will lose power. This does not work that way. So these, I believe these are 300. I'm going to Google that real quick. This is the Sennheiser HD6XX. It is also the HD650 with some rebranding and a slightly change on the head, I don't know, the headband and maybe this pad. There's like a couple of slight differences. These sound slightly warmer to me. This is the mass drop version. I like it a little bit more, and I got it for really like a third of the price, so I don't care. So whatever, sue me. And it is what it is. Everybody knows what it is. It has no bass. It has it is sort of the mid-fi standard as far as I'm concerned for tonality. And some people think this is the greatest headphone ever made. I think those people listen to too much Asian city pop and orchestra music, but okay, whatever. Like if you actually like funk and jazz, then, and people say, use these light headphones for jazz. Don't use light headphones for jazz. Use bass monsters for jazz, but not muddy bass monsters. Please, whatever you do, just do it for my soul. Nobody buys Skull Candy Crushers. Never. Don't do that. No haptic feedback. Let's just not do this to ourselves, okay? We actually need to hear the music itself, not this vibrating dildo, whatever this. No. It's not a love ends. It's a headphone. Let's just keep it with that. Google it if you don't know, because you kids, you don't know about stuff. Try to use terms over the kids' heads, but I'm sure they know more than I do. So, big dingus right in the front. Imagine that. So this is all you need. Allegedly in a world, in case you've never been in the world, you haven't been in the world enough. Everybody remembers this thing, and I picked this one. I have better ones, but I picked this one for a reason because everybody knows what it looked like. This is what comes with your Susvara, or probably an Aria or something, whatever the hi-fi man stuff is. You get the big dingus connected to the 4-pin. That is what I will use in this test because everybody has one of these laying around somewhere. If you have this, you're gonna have one of these, trust me on this. So I'm going to use that for the 2 Modhouse headphones, the Argons and the best headphones in the world, the Tungstens. And because of that, it'll make everything fair. It'll give us a fair shootout between everything coming out of this hole. What I'm going to do is listen to them very briefly in this hole, and then I'm going to switch them to this cable, which I seem to have lost, even though I just do it right next to myself, which is coming out of the back ports into, again, a 4-pin XLR. I didn't quite say that at Min Shapiro speeds, but I tried. So let me see what see figures. Okay, media fingers, you've done your job. Now, this will serve as a substitute headphone jack once I, once again, flip the dip switches. So now, we will do the introductory listening with the Sennheiser, all German. It's an all German party. So it's a lot of, you know, like boys naked to the waist and hard house, you know. Yeah, that's just basically what it is. Actually, no, we're not here yet. We're not there yet. Let's be clear. We haven't gone over the front of the device. So what do we have here? We have a volume knob because we need volume, and it's a knob that gives us volume. By the way, I didn't bring one with me, but this also has the ability to learn remotes. You can teach this to use any volume up and down remote you want, and this has a little motor, and it'll go bzzz by itself. If you wanted this to be in front of your AVR, in front of your 2-channel, in front of your television, this could actually be the head of that, the head unit for your sound for that, and using it as a preamp. So this thing is a preamp, it is a headphone amp, but now let's discuss the actual magic, which is called The Matrix. Not the Keanu Reeves movie, let it go, it was decades ago, relax. So, The Matrix, the reason I selected the Phonitor 2, and there are other versions of the Phonitor, as far as I'm concerned, the hobbyist versions of the Phonitor are not real Phonitors. And here's why. Why the name Phonitor? Let's start with that. The name Phonitor is because it is a monitor in your headphones. You are able to monitor in your headphones. What does that mean, monitor? To a studio engineer, that means that you are able to master a recording so that it sounds right in your car stereo, in your boombox, in your living room, and in your headphones in one device without disturbing anyone else. So if you are in a German high-rise, in a Japanese apartment, you can still master things and get a professional sound. How do we do that? What I'm going to try to explain to you is how your ears work. The main issue here is what we call echolocation. Echolocation is if, let's say you're in a cave or on a field and you are blindfolded. There are 10 people on the field. You ever played a game Marco Polo in the pool? That's a better example. Marco Polo, for people who aren't from America in the 80s, is a game where many people would be in a very large pool, and then the person that is was blindfolded or keeps their eyes closed, if they're being honest, says the word Marco. Everyone else has to say polo. It's a game of tag without your eye. So when you tag someone or grab someone, then they are now Marco Polo, and then the game continues. The fun of doing it in a pool is that the pools are 3D, and you can pop up and say polo, and then swim down, and then move your location, and then do it again. So it's a bit harder than if you were just playing at tag, and also you don't trip over things, fall and bust your head open, and your parents are mad at everybody. So that's echolocation, being able to see where things are. See, I'm using this air quotes, you see them? See where they are by using your mind's eye and triangulating the location by using your 2 ears. That's why your ears are on the top of your head, and it's why they face forward, because they work with your eyes to help you coordinate where things are. This is very, very important for things like hunting and war. You need to see where the enemy's coming from. You need to be able to find the prey and accurately kill it. This is why blind people can fight. They can. You can fight blindfolded. You can train to do it. There's actually some systems of martial arts that specialize in this, or at least they specifically train for this. So why is this important? Because when you hear something on a stage or in a recording, it has a specific place in the air. That's what we refer to as imaging. Imaging is like it being floating in a gelatinous thing, and you almost feel like you can walk around it. You can sense the space in the air around a particular sonic object or where a player is sitting in the mix. You can hear him playing his guitar sitting on a stool right in this spot. You can hear the bass player sitting next to him. And a lot of this has to do with the audio engineer, because I've engineered tracks where when you listen to it, you would think that people were completely different places where they were in the room. So it just depends on how much you're panning to the left, panning to the right, depth of field, the ways you play with microphones, which microphones you're using. All of that has a, some microphones, if you put them 3 feet away, they sound 3 feet away. Some microphones, you put them 3 feet away, they sound 3 miles away. It just depends on what you're doing. You put them 3 inches away, they sound like 3 feet. That's the mastery of being good in the studio versus being good at an instrument. They are two completely different skill sets. And some people are great on stage. Some people are great in the studio. Some people are great on the instrument. Everybody has to come together and make great works of art. So what you're going to do is, in this tool, because that's what it really is, this is an audio tool. What you're allowing for, in essence, is the shoring up of the weakness of listening to things in headphones. The weakness of listening to something in a headphone is that if I pan something to the right, if I have something in the right side of my ear, I'm going to believe that this thing is coming from this direction. However, in your normal phone, your computer jack, I'm getting only the right signal in the right time. If you listen to older recordings, you can hear all the band in one ear and the singer in the other ear. This is why you see a lot of remasters. What we're trying to do is give you an image of where everything is. So what you're going to have is what we call a little bleed or crosstalk. Crosstalk is a term that means I can hear a little bit in this mic what is in this mic. In this case, we're talking about, let's say, when you talk about crosstalk on a stage, we're talking about the drummer can be heard in the bassist mic. That's crosstalk. This is the inversion of that, or it's accompanying, or maybe maybe it's congruent. This is called crossfeed, either way. Crossfeed means I'm feeding a particular signal into both headphones at a small percentage. So if I give you 100% on both sides, something will appear right in front of you. As I reduce one of those, as I reduce that or change that ratio, 59-41, that whole thing. 49-51. Yeah, I'm an idiot. This way, it'll start to move this direction. So let's say I have a continuous, somebody playing a continuous note on a horn, just as I move that ratio from 50-50 to 1-100, you will see that image drifting in your mind to one side of your head. And then as I reverse it, it'll come back to this side of your head. This is like when you see in a movie, you hear a helicopter go over there. And that's what they're, in a surround sound, they're playing it in different speakers. So then it's fooling your brain to say it's going over here. You only have 2 ears, so you really only need 2 things to do this, but there's sort of a specialty in different ways of tricking your ear because you have a third thing of how far away is something. Now we're back to the matrix. The matrix here is telling your brain how much crossfeed you have, what angle your virtual speakers are set at. So if you know anything about speakers, you toe them in, toe them out, and that'll give you a better sound stage or restrict it. So if you toe them in a lot, you might sound like you're in a jazz club. You widen them out a bit, you might sound like you're in an arena. You keep going, it might sound like you're in outer space. I don't know. I don't know what drugs you do. When you're out there, the third thing, which is just referred to as center on the knob, is telling you how far away the phantom center is. If you know anything about having 2-channel audio, the phantom center is, if you only have 2 speakers, and you put them right next to your television, that's where the voices will seem like they come from because we've equally distributed them on each side. So it sounds like it's coming straight out of your screen because your speakers are triangles or cones, and those cones fire at triangular patterns. And when those 2 triangular patterns overlap in the center, this is why people want to sit right in front to center in the movies, you'll hear the noise coming right like this. If you sit way over on one side of the movie theater, everything will kind of sound like it's coming from here. It's really unnatural. And if you have very sensitive ears, it's really maddening to sit on one wall or the other. Most people don't notice it, but if there's something wrong with you, like the autistic person with the sound fetish, it'll drive you crazy to sit all on one wall at a film, especially if it's something that has a lot of sound, a lot of heavy sound production. Heavy investment in that. If it's just like 2 people talking in a room, you don't care so much. It's like, okay, like you ever see those movies like Glengarry Glen Ross, or there was one about the Outfitter. What was that guy's name? It was like a tailor or something. It was just, the whole thing happened in one room. There wasn't a whole lot of sound design. So the point being is that when you're here and your speakers are crossing over, you're getting a little bit in this ear and a little bit in this ear. That doesn't happen in headphones. They're not expansive enough to give you that imaging. This fixes that problem for you. So now you have a little bit, no matter what, no matter how they designed it, it's allowing a little bit of what you hear in your left ear to bleed over into your right ear, and it's giving you a much more balanced sense of reality. And so if that type of thing takes away from your audio experience, then now you have a way to fix that. And that's the SPL Phonitor series. There are professional Phonitors and basically hobbyist levels of Phonitors. It's called the Phonitor X. They have the Phonitor SE. I wouldn't buy any of those because they don't have the center. And for me, the center, where the center is, matters to me. Like how far away these things sound, and I'll adjust it depending on like, okay, I'm listening to music or I'm watching a video or something else. Like if I'm watching, you know, a YouTube podcast and it's just two people talking to each other at the table, I couldn't care less. But if I'm listening to the Philharmonic, if I'm listening to Miles Davis, if I'm listening to, you know, even a video of like somebody take like a speech at a rally, like some old Stokely Carmichael or Martin Luther King speech, I want to hear the resonance against the masonry. I want to hear the crowd as a crowd. You know what I mean? I want to hear the things the microphones picked up, you know, and that's what's going to sound. It's going to sound so much different if you're taking a recording in the Blue Note in a jazz club, or if you're taking it in an amphitheater, or if you're taking it in a stadium. And all of those things are going to be very different. So that's the purpose of the SPL Phonitor and the Matrix specifically. Somebody, a very smart guy who's recently passed away, I can't remember the guy's name to save my life right now, decided that this was a problem that you could fix with technology, and he was right. You've had other people work on this problem. Jim Fosgate was one of them. He recently just made literally it's called the FOZ, the Foz soundstage expander. I also own one of those. And the idea for me is to get the most realistic experience I can out of headphones. The old saying is that, you know, what's the best IEM? Headphones. What's the best headphone? Speakers. So, you know, what's the best speakers? Go to the show. You know, so, you know, hire the guy to play in your room. So we're trying to jump that and make a bridge without having to, you know, hire, you know, the Gypsy Kings to be in my house all the time so I can just listen to them. It doesn't make no sense. I ain't got the kind of money. I wish I did. You know, if I had that, you know, big, you know, baller money, if I was, you know, Jeff Bezos money or whatever, whoever these guys that steal from everybody, you know, sure. Hey, Gypsy Kings, play. But someday, yeah, that shit won't never happen. No. I've said all of that without even making a single sound come through this thing. So let's get to that portion of it. What does it actually sound like? So what do we have? We have the Matrix, have a volume knob over here, laterality. It's almost like people just making up words to stick on stuff, but they're not. And you can have a stereo signal, a mono signal. Oh, and you got VU meters. How can I not describe them? They're just right there in my face like big eyes. The VU meters on this are just beautiful. They get old school amber thing going, that nice little glow. And you know, if you're really into that, you can fine tune them by giving them cuts or whatever. You have your left, your right, your center. And this knob will tell you where you know, so let's say you have a slight hearing disadvantage in your right ear or your left ear, as a lot of old musicians do, but I've taken care of my ears pretty well in the ear, and I'm pretty good at that. So if you know you have a slight hearing deficiency, you can slightly push yourself to the left, or you can slightly push yourself to the right and balance that out so it sounds good to you. Again, another tool that's just amazing and well thought out. This whole thing is very, very well thought out, well planned, and well gamed. So now let's hear some stuff. So why did I get 3 pairs of headphones? Again, because they have different impedances and they have different sound profiles. This is supposed to be the Tone Master. I disagree, but okay. But also, this is like the Shure SM57. I hate both of these things. I don't hate them, but I hate the Shure SM57, let's be honest. But I don't hate these. But I find that they're weak. This is everybody's sort of baseline first audiophile headphone. And this gives you an idea. If you know what I'm listening to here, I can compare this to everything else. And then you can get an idea of what it is, what neutral sort of the referee kind of is, and then we'll move offline to things that I think that make the referee act like he doesn't even know what his business is. But that's subjective, so I'm going to leave that alone. We're going to start with sort of backwards for me. I'm going to go with Thundercats, off of Drunk, I believe. Okay, that was Herbie Hancock's HH. No, it's Lionel Wecke's HH, which stands for Herbie Hancock. He's playing a bunch of Herbie Hancock songs. Yeah, the level of detail on this thing is interesting. It's It's neutral bright. It's definitely got some, I need to change these. I don't know what I'm doing here. This is insane. Let's go straight out of the front load. I'm gonna keep this consistent to hear the variance, sort of retire the Sennheisers. I'm gonna move to the Argons and listen to the exact same things so I know I get a baseline of exactly what I'm doing. Mahogany, it's beautiful. Hardwood, intimate, sheepskin, headband, Ryan, Modhouse, T60 Argons. You're missing out if you don't have a pair. They're comfortable, light, intimate. I said that already, but I mean it twice. One thing I just noticed, I just realized this. I didn't touch the volume knob. That's that inverted impedance saddle. I didn't touch the volume knob. It's the same volume. That doesn't happen on most of my headphone amps. There's one other one that does that. It's very interesting when you have this. It's not exactly the same volume, but it's so close that I didn't care. Now, just so we understand each other, I'm using this amp with all the disadvantages right now. I'm using it on RCA. I'm using it with the headphone jack. I'm not even using it balanced, which I could be, which I will in a second. I'm going to check that. But I'm mostly just trying to see what the lowest entry point is for this device. And once I get that, I'm going to turn it up and I'm going to listen to everything. And then I'm going to tell you what I really, really think. But this is just preliminary. This thing is amazing. Again, it is a little bit neutral bright. If you don't like that, that's going to be a problem for you. Or you can EQ it, which is what I'm going to do. Because I'm about that down low and dirty. However, it's very detailed. It's very, like, the imaging is decent. Decent. I'm saying it's great compared to 99% of the pieces of equipment you're going to have on the market. When I say decent, I mean this is decent compared to everything, anything on the top level. Like, it's really good. It's really good. So this is something you will not have to replace. And the fact that it can pass through a very clean, pristine image from your DAC to any other amp that you want, plus give you all the voltage you'll ever need to drive anything in the universe, it's already a win there at this price point. So the idea that you need anything more, you've got a preamp, you've got an amp, you've got an imaging device. I haven't even played with the imaging yet. I've left everything pretty much right where it's supposed to be. I'll fiddle with the knobs in a minute, but right now I'm just trying to get a baseline of what this thing sounds like as its core operation, a headphone amp. And that shouldn't take very long. And again, I'm going to put several things. I brought a pair of IEMs, the timeless, because timeless. What are you going to do? And we'll see how all of these things stack up. In fact, I'm going to listen to the timeless next, just to move through and keep the same. It's just 2 tunes each. Try to get an idea of, oh, I did not listen to Drunk yet. I'm jumping ahead of myself. Trying to get my low end test on and my transients. Yeah, this track is so busy, and yet it's just handling like a champ. You can see how they do with IEMs, because, IEMs, sensitive little bitches, IEMs, And since everybody and their mother has a pair of these by now, I figured this was a decent judge. And I wasn't pulling out any KZs today. That wasn't going to happen. I've got phone tips on them. If you don't like phone tips, don't tell me nothing about myself. Write in the comments if you want to, because my ears aren't the same size, so sue me. I got kicked in the head a lot as a child. It was fun. So with my source all the way up on these, I'm at -35, and ooh, they're cooking. They're cooking. It is insane. I mean, that on the knob, that would be 9 o'clock. So, bruh. Jump back to HH real quick. Lionel Lewicki. If you've never heard this album, the detail on it is just insane. There's a reason I keep picking up to pick out stuff. It is so well engineered that it is crazy. And on the timeless, it sounds like a damn blessing. I can't say much more. I mean, you know what the timeless sound like, so this is not an unknown. Looking forward to the day where I can pick up the timeless too. But right now, I'm doing this. Let's put these bad boys back. Let's go back to headphones. I'm going to reestablish with because what I think is the middle ground, the Argons. I'm getting quite a bit harder to drive, but I'm not hearing them. They just sound softer now. This is definitely a different level of equipment than most headphone owners have. The professional aspect here, I'm sure I have a bias because I've been in this world for so long. But when I get these pieces of hobbyist equipment, the things that they're missing and the control that they don't have, and when I say control, I mean the driver control, the impulse. This dynamic range is doing things for you that are just magical. In this track, he's clicking his voice and brushing his fingertip, like his fingerprints against the strings and the pickups of his guitar, and knocking on it and doing all these little subtle things, and you hear every single one of them as if it was a different instrument. And there's so much purpose in what he's doing, and you don't hear all of that on rougher systems. And whoever the engineer on this said, I want to kidnap this dude and clone his brain. Like, it's just such a good experience. Like, I don't know what he did, but that album's just insane. And it's great for telling you what the truth is about what your equipment looks like. What did I say an audiophile is, right? An audiophile is a guy who uses music to listen to his equipment. So now I'm going to re-plug in the best headphones in the world. The Modhouse Tungstens, which are in this configuration that I have, which is the prototype. A bit, they drop the cables if you pull on them any. And, you know, we've all had 1266s that'll rip all your equipment out because, you know, there's an Odyssey and, you know, that'll yank you with the 3-pin. No, let's not lock our headphones in, please. No, thank you. I'd rather lose the sound for a few seconds than have to buy a new $5,000 DAC amp, whatever the hell thingy. It makes no sense to me. But, you know, some people prefer it. This chonky cable from Skedra out there at Viking Weave Cables. I'm giving you the full sound. Oh, wow. So talking about hard to drive, now these things are whispering at me. It's, it's a different thing now. Let me back this up a little bit and see what I can see when it sounds normal. And this is a soft song anyway, but I had it loud in the last one. He's doing this thing with his breath like, you hit his man's tonsils. It's crazy. No, you don't sing with your tonsils full. No. Like, I honestly think that I'm gonna have to hit the dip switches for the Tungsten, turn this up, because right now I'm pushing 3 o'clock. I'm gonna switch back to drunk and see something more a little violent is gonna treat me, but I think it's gonna be in the same. So I nearly need to max out the knob for Tungstens. Oof, so busy. Okay, so from this point forward, I'm probably not gonna switch headphones, but what I am gonna do is switch outputs, and I'm gonna probably try to switch the impedance. Now, I'll probably do this through the magic of I can control the future by pausing the present. And then we'll see what it sounds like coming out of these as opposed to just out of the front end. If I'm coming out of a balanced signal, obviously, as opposed to a single-ended signal.
2 hours later.
So now all of the dip switches have been switched. All the dips have been switched. The switches have been dipped in chocolate. I don't know, whatever. Blood, the anguish of your grandmother's grave. I don't know. The problem that I'm gonna have here, and it's a minor one, boo-hoo, woe was me, is that you can no longer use the volume knob once you're passing it through the back, or I haven't figured out how to use the volume knob once you're passing it through the back as the volume knob. It's kind of seems to be pushing a passive signal or a one-level signal back through the front. I will see if there's a way to fix that, but this does not seem to be changing anything that I'm doing. So we'll figure that out very quickly. Now, back to the matrix thing. I can solo the left or the right channel, but that's not really important. The most important thing is now we're going to play with the matrix. I'll put the headphones on my hand, and it's pretty locked in. Like these are clicky. So it has defined angles that it wants to sing you at. It has from minimum to maximum, and minimum seems to be 1 and maximum seems to be 6. And those are amounts of crossfeed. What the magic formula is there, I will not ever know. The angle seems to adjust between 15 degrees and 75 degrees. And then the center, again, very clicky. All these things are very clicky. Goes from -2.0 to -0.3. So there you go. That's what you get. I don't know if those are meters, inches, centimeters, acres, miles, astronomical units, milkshakes, Katamaris. I have no idea. So we're going to play with them and see what happens. What happened was. Now, mind you, this is still at a decent level. It's at slightly below what I would listen to. So I'd probably say 70 to 72 dB. I'm a 75 to 80 dB guy. My source is all the way up. And this is just some generic house mix because I'm just gonna play with the Crossfeed itself. So everything's in the center right now. I'm going to move everything towards myself for the narrowest areas. No, this is the wrong thing to do this with. I'm realizing that there's very little. This is you do it's okay. Do not do this with computerized music. We figured that out. You need something with mic placement. Otherwise, it makes no sense.
2 hours later.
Okay, so I switched the binaural recording, the Chesky recording of Amber Rubarth, Full Moon in Paris. And what you're getting is a true binaural, so it's a little bit easier to understand what's going on. Things move around. I feel like they were a little more conservative than I would have been, but they're definitely there. You're controlling what's going on. Also, in this configuration, which is nobody's fault, I'm limited in how much volume I'm getting out of this thing. So once I make this the beginning of a bigger chain, and I have the full weight and thunder of everything that's going to come through it, I think that the dynamic improvement is going to make a big difference in how exaggerated those effects feel. But you can definitely hear the stage widening and closing. You can definitely hear a concentration of the sound, a distancing. So you can sort of fine tune, but it is a fine tuning. This is not a coarse brush as far as the matrix is concerned. I don't think honestly that most people would have a reason to purchase that for that reason. I'm an insane person. Do not do what I do. However, the overall package, the way that it's designed, all of the feature sets that you get with this thing make it super phenomenal. The detail on this thing, the way that it comes across, and how clean it is just, it's given me, I mean, probably as much as I can ask for out of that ROM DAC. I'm not mad at it. So definitely, if you have any reason or a reservation about mixing or mastering and making, your own music and doing your own design, you can definitely pick this thing up and make yourself some great art.